Hey, welcome back to The Dive. Today on the show, we have David Morgan from The Morgan Report joining us. He's here today to share his thoughts on the battle between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, the decline in US CPI, the arrest of Celsius CEO Alex Mashinsky, the recent news from XRP, as well as what's been happening with platinum, silver, and gold. Hey, David, welcome back to The Dive. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm happy to be back. Thank you.
Okay, so David, let's start off with the popular headlines in the tech world. Lately, we've been hearing about the battle between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. How closely are you following this story? And do you think that Meta could take a big chunk of Twitter's market share?
I'm following at a cursory level. Social media has turned into kind of a giant monster. The only one I really do much with was Twitter. Of course, Zuckerberg's new competition to its accelerator with 100 million already. If there's room for more than one Twitter, I think that Twitter will, since it's the one that started and it's so well known by, let's say, serious people, I'm not sure all of those will move over to Zuckerberg's platform, but there's room for two, and it'll be interesting to see how it falls out. I think it's going to accelerate and then kind of level off, and Twitter will come out in the front.
Shifting gears, the US June CPI came in at 3%, the lowest since March 2021. What do you think is driving the decline?
Oh, that's a tough one. Probably an adjustment by the public would have some effect, meaning economics, household economics. When beef prices are too high, they buy pork. Substitution, in other words. So maybe you buy a certain brand of cereal that's a name brand, you buy the brand that's in the store name. And so that will mitigate it, especially when you have a shift of purchasing. And that's probably what's taken place, is that people that used to buy, let's say, more or less indiscriminately because prices were low, now they're very careful shoppers and are doing substitution. So I'd say that's probably most of it, but there's so many vectors that hit that number that you can't really come up with this or that. But that one would probably be significant enough to move it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay, so let's move on and talk about crypto for a second. Alex Mashinsky, CEO of Celsius, was arrested this morning. According to the US SEC, he manipulated the price of the company's crypto token. How do you think that this will impact the reputation of the crypto landscape? Does it even have an impact at this point?
I think it'll have further impact. I mean, we've been through so many with the FTX and others, and then the failure of some of the banks that were really big in the crypto world. I mean, SVB and Signature and some of these other banks, Silvergate, were involved with crypto at a high level. So if you want to put on, one of those funny hats, you might suggest that maybe there's something going on behind the scenes in the crypto world where the powers that be want to control it, and therefore they're taking out strategic targets and strategic exchanges. And now the Celsius situation, where they are doing a Hegelian dialectic problem reaction solution. Problem, we need a new system. Solution, crypto. Problem, independent crypto, no good. Government crypto is better or will solve any issue. So there's a lot going on in that space. I lean toward the fact that crypto's here to stay. I lean to the fact that governments want to implement it. I know for a fact that China is really the leader, and they have it installed for at least 400 million people, 1.4 billion. But anyone in a major city in China is cashless in their society, and everything's done off of CBDC, basically. So I think I've said enough. There's a lot going on there, but the markets will, determine the final outcome.
In other crypto news, the SEC just ruled XRP is not a security. What do you think that this means for the future of XRP?
I've been bullish on XRP, taking a lot of flack for it. I think it'll move it forward. I think it's a system that's used by the banks. And if you look up who uses XRP, you'll find it's a lot of mainstream, major establishment type financial institutions. And I think it's here to stay. And of course, that ruling is very favorable because the one thing that gets people in trouble is a crypto that's considered a security. So once that ruling is made, it's kind of should be free sailing for XRP for a while.
Okay, now shifting to metals. There are reports that the platinum market is expected to hit a record deficit this year. How do you think that this might affect the global economy?
Well, platinum is one of those, noble metals. It's also used in a lot as a catalyst in a lot of chemical processes that people never think of. And all the exotics, all the rare earth elements kind of fall in that category. And there's already been kind of a trade war started. I think it's with gallium and one other exotic that China has said to the United States, we are only going to export this amount. So sanctions work both directions. I've been bullish platinum from the bottom at 850. I'm not as bullish on palladium. I've got a short or a spread trade, short palladium and long platinum, and that spread's working quite well in my favor. The one thing about platinum is not only is it 50 times rarer than gold, it's just not caught into the monetary metals. And yet it could be. It's classically a monetary metal, but not practically. As the metals market continues northbound, I think what will happen is there'll be a spillover effect. And people that know what you just said about a deficit and how rare it is, 50 times rarer than gold, and it's priced under gold, might speculate, like I am, that the price will catch up to gold and that you're buying cheap gold if you buy platinum. I think platinum's a play for the next couple of years. I don't see anything negative in the platinum market as far as pushing prices higher. What's negative is going to push prices higher, meaning the unrest in South Africa, where 70% of the platinum is mined, some of the power issues that go on down there. A lot of this is not mainstream news for us, Cassandra, as you know, but a lot of factors point to a bullish story on the platinum market.
Now, Volkswagen and Stellantis, on the other hand, recently joined a SPAC offering for nickel and copper mines. Do you think that we will see more agreements like this?
I think we will for a while. I mean, I did a study in the Morgan Report. Actually, it was a study of a study. And the amount of requirements to go all electric is just astronomically unbelievable. For example, to go all electric, no carbon-based fuel, so no oil, no gas, no coal, would require something like 1,600 years of lithium mining. So we don't have 1,600 years to get to the all-electric world. Copper, I think it was like 300 something years. I've got it in the report. I don't have them all memorized. We're giving you the right idea. In almost all cases, cobalt, manganese, lithium, copper, all of them were like in the hundreds of years of mining at present mining rates. So it's interesting to me that the green movement wants to go all electric, but yet if they really knew it'd take about 10 times more mining than we're doing right now, I wonder if they'd rethink it, because they don't like mining, but they want all electric. Well, you can't have it both ways. And there just is not enough raw materials to get the planet in that situation. So again, back to your question, and I'll answer it again, is yeah, I think you'll see more of these SPACs. I think you'll see more direct connections to mines. For example, Mitsubishi, I believe, or maybe it's Samsung, has a direct relationship with the Avino mines, and they take their silver doré, right, straight, or refined, I don't know which, but they take their silver direct from the mine. So there's no middleman whatsoever. So they've got a contract. And that's a good way to do a SPAC, is to get aligned with a producer and no middleman needed, So I think we'll see more.
How big of a role do you think silver plays in the EV market?
Not as big as a lot of the silver bulls think. There's been more silver added to conventional cars over the years because we have more electronic goodies, right? If you got a display in the back seat of your van for the kids to watch movies or whatever, you got more silver in that car, and that's not an electric car. So overall, there's been a push toward more silver in the modern automotive world. The EV market affects it as well, but not to the level that a lot of people think. Will have enough impact to move the needle? Probably not. What will have enough impact to move the needle is the solar industry. I mean, it's going well beyond what the projections are from the establishment. If you look at my friend Chen Lin, myself, and some others that have looked into this deeper, the new solar panels require more silver per panel, not less. And that gets greater efficiency. It's a good reason to do it. It's not stupid, it's smart. But still, the amount of silver that's going to be required for the build out of solar is significant. And will we get there or not remains to be determined. Certainly the push is there. And one more thing I just have to tell you, Cassandra, and that is, whether you like solar or you don't, and I own it. I have solar at both places, the one I'm sitting at right now in my Montana property. But it's not that efficient, although it's getting better. And it's not renewable. These panels are good for 20 years, and then you've got to replace them. And that's a concern. And the other concern is, if you really wanted to put solar for the complete infrastructure, if you did it in the United States for residences only, it'd take about 1.5 billion ounces of silver to do that. Well, we only mine 800 million and recycle. We only have 1 billion ounces a year silver coming in anyway. So if you wanted to just electrify the US houses, it takes 50% more than what you're able to gather on any annual basis. If you went to commercial property with residential, it'd take an additional like 2 billion ounces. So all your churches, movie theaters, restaurants, parking lots, all of that, all your commercial activity is greater than the residential activity as far as the amount of use of electricity. So if you added 2 and 1.5, say you've got 3.5, 4 billion ounces of silver to go all of that electric in the United States only, which is only 5% of the world's population. So the point is, you cannot go solar on a global basis. It can't be done. And it won't be done. But that's not slowing down the solar industry right now, because if you do it on a cost basis, it's cost effective presently. But there's more to that than, there's some costs and everything else. I'll give you a lecture on finance and capital structures and what, all the depreciation and everything else that goes into this. But none of this is renewable. That's the point. And that's the thing that we really need to teach everyone, is those windmills are good for probably supposedly 20 years, and they're breaking down much faster than design. So I'm not anti-clean energy. I'm anti-lying. And if you say it's renewable, none of it is renewable. The only renewable is the sun itself. I mean, every day that comes out, photosynthesis, plant your garden, do that. I mean, that's Mother Nature. But as far as us being able to capture that and use it for our own purposes, certainly it's being done. It'll probably be more efficient in the future than it is now. But it's presently, under present technological conditions, it's impossible. And I say that carefully because my predecessor, Jerome Smith, had a similar idea when he wrote Silver Prophets in the 80s and projected $200 silver in 1990, which, based on his premise, actually would have been true. But he made a bad assumption, and that is that there won't be any more mining of silver above what was already being mined, which at the time was 350 million ounces a year. Now, as I said a minute ago, we do 850 million ounces. So his supply assumption was wrong. So here's mine as well. I mean, I may be wrong about the efficiency of solar, or maybe there could be a substitute like copper or something else. They've tried them. I follow it strongly, and I haven't seen anything that's come close to doing what silver does.
So before we let you go here, we have to ask you about gold. Recently, it's caught a bid after the inflation data. Where do you see the recent price action of gold heading?
Just did an update for my paid members. Gold has hit a triple high on a spike. We're approaching that again. And once we get through it, I think 3 times is a charm, usually 3 or 4. This would be the 4th time breaking to a new high in US dollar terms. I think it will. I don't think it's going to happen immediately. I think it's going to happen before the end of the year. I think we're going to see a shift by the end of the year with this interest rate conundrum that Powell has us in, head of the Fed for the US. And that is to continue to mitigate the inflation problem. and moving interest rates higher. At some point, if you move interest rates high enough, not only does it affect the bond market, which it has, it also affects the stock market. So stocks could be in trouble by the end of the year. I'm expecting that. I think we're going to see some kind of I don't know if it's going to be a major waterfall decline or anything like that, but I think you're going to see some shifting out of asset classes from stocks into safe haven assets. And I think that will take gold up into the new territory. Once it establishes that new high, and then the breakout's tested, and it comes down and touches it or gets close to it, and it holds, we're in a whole new paradigm. Now we're talking $2,000 ounce gold no matter what. So it'll be 2,100, 2,200, whatever. Maybe it gets to 3,000. So I do think gold's doing its job. It's had to work awfully hard, and it's kind of a stealth market. I said the gold run had started, and it has, but everybody focuses on price, which you should, but the price isn't telling the background, which I'm giving you right now. There's a lot of momentum in both silver and gold that is not reflected in the price yet. And being conservative, again, I think we're probably 3 months away, but I do think by the end of the year, most precious metals holders of not only the metal, but the ETFs, the futures, whatever, and the mining shares will be very happy, but much happier than they are right now.
Okay, well, that's all we have for you today, David. Thank you so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure to get to hear your thoughts on things.
Well, thank you.
To our audience at home, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this video or like content like this, be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe below before you leave us. Bye.